It is one of the important concepts where many people will be confusing. So let us understand it in detail. Okay, polar vortex. So we'll also understand in polar vortex how does it impact the ozone depletion. So what is polar vortex? So polar here means so it happens in a polar region. The phenomenon is happening with respect to the polar region. And what does vortex mean? Vortex is nothing but it is a rotating system. So here the rotation is happening in anti-clockwise direction. Whereas anti-clockwise direction in northern hemisphere, whereas in clockwise direction in southern hemisphere. Okay, so what is a rotating system? So it is simply nothing but a circular movement of wind in upper level of atmosphere. So this polar vortex happens in between the upper troposphere or tropopause and extends until the stratosphere. So, so okay, this is the earth, right? So it happens here. So in anti-clockwise direction. So at upper layers of atmosphere, this polar vortex or rotating system is taking place. So what is this polar vortex? It is basically a low pressure system. So as it is in the polar region, it holds the cold air. So we can say like this. So low pressure system holding cold air. So this is the polar vortex. This is the feature of polar vortex. So why low pressure is forming? So as it is a cold region, so generally it should form a high pressure, right? So now why it is forming a low pressure? So the simple reason is so there will be a warm air from the subpolar low or polar front. So this warm air from this region will be rising and the low pressure system will be formed in the upper layers of atmosphere. So to understand this, we need to go more deep into the pressure belts, Hadley cell, Ferrel cell, polar cell. So which we'll be discussing in geography. So understanding it will make it more sense. So as of now, remember it. So the warm air from the polar front rises. So to form a low pressure belt. So to form a low pressure system, which is known as a polar vortex. So okay. So basically polar vortex is strong in northern hemisphere, means it is strong in Arctic. So why it is simple reason is because of the land ocean area distribution because more so when compared to southern hemisphere more land is present in northern hemisphere and there will be a unequal distribution of land and ocean in northern hemisphere. And so in northern hemisphere or at Arctic region the polar vortex is stronger. Next important thing is so we need to know what is polar jet stream. So what is the relationship between this polar vortex and polar jet stream? So we know. So yeah, this is that. So here there will be a polar jet stream that will be revolving, right? So so this polar jet stream will be stronger in winter. So why in winter it is so stronger? Because of high temperature difference, delta T. So in summer it is so as the temperature difference delta T is less, so it will be weak. So the winds will be weak. So the polar jet stream is weak. So similarly the case with the polar vortex. So polar vortex is also strong in winter and it is weak in summer or spring. In winter it is strong, in summer it is weak. The simple reason, as like I told earlier, it is the temperature difference. Okay, so in summer there is a weak winds. Okay, this is fine. So polar jet stream is weak. Okay, fine. So if polar jet stream is strong, it stays in this way. As okay, let's understand it in detail by this diagram. Okay, so strong polar vortex is there and strong polar jet stream is there in winter situation. Okay, this is fine. So whenever let's understand about now the summer. So in summer, so there will be a weak polar jet stream and weak polar vortex. So whenever the polar vortex polar jet stream is weak, so it is not it will be not in this fashion, but rather it will be in meandering form. So why it is in meandering form? Because the pressure, so this polar vortex, warm air will be pushing. So the cold air from this polar vortex is pushing in this way and the warm air is pushing in this way. So this leads to formation of meandering which are known as a Rossby waves. So because of weak winds, so weak winds of polar jet stream, especially in months of summer or spring season, so Rossby waves will be formed. So this basically leads to expansion of polar vortex. So we can simply understand this polar jet stream is shielding the polar vortex. So polar vortex without entering into the northern USA, Canada, Russia. So polar jet stream is simply gating or shielding the polar vortex. So whenever this polar jet stream is weak, this polar vortex is entering into the, so understand this, also understand this polar vortex contains the cold air. So this cold air will be entering into the northern parts of the USA, Canada, Russia. So the polar vortex now will be expanding because of the weak polar jet stream. So this PSC will be expanding. So polar stratospheric cloud will be expanding. So it means more chlorine ions settle on PSC. Means so ozone depleting happens. So there will be less ozone and ozone depleting will be happening more. So the conclusion what we can come here is, so with the strong polar vortex, with expansion of polar vortex leads to enhancement of ozone depletion.